Hello, my name is Amos Newton. I am from Jamaica, Vermont, native. I'm in favor of legalizing marijuana in Vermont, but only if it means legalizing it for actual Vermonters. I know that there's been a lot of money spent in Montpelier in the past year or so to make sure that legalize means monopolize. And I know that there are big money interests that see this as another opportunity, as in some other states, to cash in on millions of dollars that in the current underground economy remains in the hands of the locals in our communities. This is in effect stealing from the poor and giving to the rich. If we're going to legalize cannabis in Vermont, we need to do so in a way that benefits the majority of Vermonters, not just a few people, corporate officers, their shareholders and middlemen. I'm in favor of a legalization bill that stands to benefit locals and provide state revenue that does not have to be used up in incarcerating victimless criminals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Stern, Jim Baker, you're on deck.
Hi, I'm Michael Stern. I live in Bennington. I moved here from New Jersey in 2010, and I love this community, and I hate to see what's happening because of our opiate problem. 3 minutes is not a lot of time, and I thought I had to come right to the chase. What it means to me is, first and foremost, the legalization of marijuana is a civil rights issue. Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I don't have time to read the whole I Have a Dream speech, but in my Reconstructionist prayer book, we have a Martin Luther King section, so I just highlighted the bit, and maybe I can enter this into the record. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all God's children. And we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I say to you today, my friends, and even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal. It is our hope, with this faith, we are able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of Vermont. Let the freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village, every hamlet, from every state, every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. In the last 30 seconds, I want to say that when I worked for AT&T, it was my signature on the document that certified that the international division was Y2K compliant. AT&T had no cannabis testing. A lot of the issues that I hear today based on education, we need to teach our children well. And we can't do that by protecting them from the lies that we have had since the Great Depression, when we realized that we give a whole lot of unemployed white men jobs, busting unemployed black men smoking reefer. And when Nixon refused to get when Nixon refused to let the Schaefer Commission and follow their recommendation to remove cannabis from Schedule 1, we precluded any reasonable research being done on perhaps the most healthful herb that mankind has ever known. I ask you to seriously consider ending this injustice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Baker, Jim O'Connor, you're on deck.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank the committee for the time, and Senator Sears, I did share an email with you a while ago voicing my concerns about the openness of the process, about the discussion around legalization, and I appreciate the fact that your committee is going around the state taking this testimony. I want to state the obvious. This is a major public policy decision. This is not a decision about issues around if someone has the right to smoke marijuana or if someone does it in their private home. No one's questioning that. It goes on. People realize that. There's a bigger ramification here. It's a major public policy decision that you're moving towards. It's not about stimulating a business. It's about the future of Vermont. Many of these decisions over the years, and one that comes to mind that I think about, is decisions made 20, 25 years ago about decentralizing mental health services and what the impact on the community was and what we realized that impact wasn't until many, many years later. And I emphasize to you again that this is a major public policy decision. It's not simply does someone have the right to purchase or buy marijuana or smoke marijuana. There's major public health. I don't want to reemphasize some of the points that have been made, but I do want to call out a couple things that were said to voice my support to what was said, starting with Dr. Block. I hope that this committee and other committees in the legislature are going to follow the science, not follow the emotion, and not follow other pressure that's put on you every day at the State House to make decisions about legislation. Follow the science. And you heard it from Dr. Block. We see it in countries around the world where marijuana has been legalized for a while. There's very good fertile data out there to take a look at. Follow the science, I ask you and I urge you. There's a reason why educators and counselors, business leaders, including the largest chamber of commerce in the state of Vermont, is saying slow this down. The medical profession, you heard it today, slow it down. The debate's been developing and emerging for a period of time, and there's been a great deal of give and take on the facts surrounding legalization. And for some reason, we can always make our arguments based upon the facts that are most favorable to us on our position, and I'm not going to do that today. But I will say to you that in Washington, the state of Washington, and in the state of Colorado, we are very early into that process. We don't know. There's two areas I want to address quickly in my last 30 seconds. It's the framework that the governor's put in place for him to be able to support legislation, and the first one is the black market. It amazes me when I hear this conversation how anyone thinks we're going to eliminate the black market by legalizing marijuana. It just has to take a look at alcohol, cigarettes, and take a look at the most regulated drug industry in the world, the pharmaceutical industry. We all know where we are in Vermont right now because of opiate abuse and the inability to be able to control that. And my final piece is driving under the influence. We do not have the technology, the training, or the experience in this state right now to be able to effectively test for driving while impaired under the influence of marijuana. It's a public safety issue. So my final message is, thank you for bearing me out, is to slow it down. Follow the science. Thank you very much.
Jim O'Connor, Mary Muckle is on deck.
My name is Jim O'Connor. I'm a resident of Pownell, Vermont. I stand in complete and total opposition to legalizing marijuana in Vermont at this time. I'm opposed to legalizing marijuana in Vermont. I'd like to suggest an alternative to the Senate. All right, Vermont is one of either the smallest or the second smallest state in the country. If you look at any list, education spending per student, we're the highest. Other lists, we're the lowest. We're the top and bottom of every list. We were the first last year to run to single payer way too soon, and it fell apart. Vermont is smaller than 20 or 30 cities in the United States of America. We're not that big. We don't need to lead on this. There's only three states or four states that have already passed legalized marijuana. I suggest to this Senate committee and the Senate and the legislature in Vermont, like everyone else said, slow it down. I would support you guys passing a law that Vermont will be the 26th state to legalize marijuana. Let half the country, make the mistakes and suffer. And we'll look at that. That gives us plenty of time. We don't have to be number 4. We're little guys. We don't know what we're doing. We don't have the resources. We don't have the money to thoroughly examine this, all right? I personally have seen, and it's anecdotal, members of my family, all right, eventually die from marijuana. As the person said, it isn't a gateway drug. It is absolutely a gateway drug. I've seen 10, 12, and 11-year-olds die at 17, 18, and 19, all right, from overdoses of other drugs. The governor of this state repeatedly talks about the heroin problem in this state. If he surveys every person they have on their radar with heroin addiction, you'll find that they use marijuana, all right? Now, that's not one leads to the other, but boy, it raises a flag. We don't need the trouble, all right? You have your medical marijuana, I don't know if that's good or not good, but we have it. But I stand in opposition to this. We don't have to do this now, all right? Let's take our time. Pass a simple law. We'll be number 26th. Let's go number 26. We don't got to go number 4. You don't have the time we don't have the time to hire 50 people to investigate this and come up. We have the RAND report, which you can use on either side of the argument. I read it, and then, if you want to use it against marijuana, you can use it against marijuana. The other thing is, Vermont lost about 1,000 people, lost population in the past year, There's no new industry coming to Vermont. The manufacturing companies in Vermont have stated a position against legalizing marijuana. You think other companies are going to come here when they think half our population is doped up on whatever? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.